Welcome everybody to the first webinar, Executive Partner Webinar Series, The Secrets to a Successful Cruise Destination. Thank you very much for joining us today. As always, we appreciate you for taking the time out of your day and your week to be with us. As you know, the Executive Partner team we've put these webinars into place as an opportunity for you to engage not only with each other, but to share your knowledge and best practices, but to also hear from some of our cruise line members outside of our face-to-face events. With this being the first, we are very anxious to get started, and we look forward to any feedback that you may have regarding the platform, content, or any suggestions that you may have. As always, we welcome your input, and as we continue to build and grow this program for you. There will be a survey after, as was mentioned, after the webinar. So please use this as an opportunity to share any candid feedback with us. So to kick us off, I would love to take the opportunity to introduce our panelists for today. As you've already heard, my name is Lane Glaster West, and I'm the Senior Manager of Partner Services at CLIA. I know many of you on the line, but look forward to meeting many of you over the course of this year at our events. We also have Emily Cowan, who is my wonderful right arm, left arm, and all appendages. She is our Partner Services Executive based in London. I am based in the US, working remotely in Boston. So Emily, if you're there, just say a quick hello.
Hi everyone, hello from London. Very nice to be here today.
So we look forward to this opportunity and again, look forward to your input and feedback as we move forward. So today's speakers, we are joined by some of our esteemed executive partners and colleagues in the industry. And I just want to Emily and I are going to take a couple of minutes to do some brief introductions so that you know who you'll be hearing from today. Joining us from Costa Cruises is the Itinerary Planning Director, Federico Bartoli. Federico, after reaching a bachelor's degree in economic and a master's degree focused on development of relationship marketing, Federico began his career in Marconi Communication as a business analyst, where he worked for 3 years. In 2003, Federico began his experience at Costa, where he has had many roles: business analyst in the business intelligence and data warehouse, decision-making support, before analyst, and afterwards manager in revenue management department. From 2013, he began as the head of itinerary planning, and in 2017 was appointed as director, meaning that he is responsible for recommending the optimal fleet deployment and to design the detailed plan, to coordinate all relevant stakeholders in their participation to the process, manage itinerary changes, and supervise their implementation in all company systems. Thank you, Federico, for taking the time today to be with us. I know that you have an incredibly busy schedule, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Moving on, we also have Sarah Rumley, the Brand and Marketing Coordinator with the Halifax Port Authority. As Brand and Marketing Coordinator for the Halifax Port Authority, Sarah is responsible for business development, sales support for cruise and brand coordination activity and integration across multiple business departments for the Port of Halifax. Since joining the Halifax Port Authority in 2001, Sarah participates in several industry associations and committees, including the Atlantic Canada Cruise Association. Sarah is very passionate about her port, province, and Atlantic Canada. As I'd mentioned, we're looking forward to hearing from you as well, Sarah, and learning more about the amazing destination of Halifax.
Thank you, Lane. So I'm just going to introduce our second two panelists, Janez Makek from Atlas Express, who is the co-founder the founder and general manager of Atlas Express. Atlas Express was founded in 1991 upon the independence of the Republic of Slovenia, and to this day has succeeded in providing best business solutions, delivering a full range services to its clients with innovative ideas. Atlas Express is present on the market as the leading Surex incoming and DMC agent in Slovenia, and their knowledge of hospitality industry has been achieved through passionate work and dedication to its customers' satisfaction. It's a family-owned company managed by Janez and Taya, working together in order to optimize the creativity of each product. New experiences, satisfaction of the guests, and involvement in the local community make their work priceless. So once again, thank you for joining us, Janez, on this webinar. And just to introduce our final panelist, which is Caroline Hamburg. So welcome, Caroline, who is the cruise manager at Arctic Adventure. Arctic Adventure is one of the oldest tour operators in the North Atlantic and a trailblazer when it comes to developing commercial tourism in the Arctic, having sent travelers to Greenland, Iceland, and the Faroe Islands since the early 1980s. Arctic Adventure aimed to provide a high-quality service delivered by well-educated staff and carefully trained guides. They design soft adventures for their clients, using a unique opportunity to explore the Arctic safely. Arctic Adventure's ambition is to make the North Atlantic a realistic choice for your clients and make their voyage unforgettable. It is important remembering that in the North Atlantic, the weather conditions are as magical as they are demanding. It has its own set of rules which no one can master entirely. We merely play along and adapt our services to suit the conditions of the day. Operating cruises in the Arctic can be challenged, but Arctic Adventure don't want your guests to miss out on any adventures. They aim to provide a broad range of excursions at many destinations, and there's always a backup destination as well. So thank you, Caroline.
Great. Well, we look forward to hearing from many of our participants. And as we get kicked off with Federico, I just want to really set the scene for how this webinar is going to go. We do have presentations throughout, but it's going to be very conversational. Emily and myself will be jumping in with any questions that we may have, whether it's for the panelist or whether it's for our cruise line, just to kind of get the conversation going. And to remind you that please, if you have any questions or want to say anything, feel free to pop it into the chat module or the questions module, which we are monitoring, and we can definitely integrate those throughout our presentation as well. So with that, Federico, take it away.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to be on this webinar. First of all, I would like to have a brief introduction of what is our job and our contribution for the itinerary. As you can see, the itinerary are made of destination, and I would like to introduce you how we decide how to make a new itinerary, and so that you can see how important is the destination in order to have a successful itinerary. First of all, we can say that we have always the guest at the center of our decision, because all the itinerary have to satisfy our guest. And to do that, we will start with the marketing that have to tell us what the guests want. To do that, we use some internal survey that tell us both result of the past, but also new destination, in order to understand, looking at the tourism trends, not only in the cruise industry, what will be the new appealing destination that we have to insert in our itineraries. So again, guest point of view is at the center of our process. Then we have to look at guest safety. So always guest, but in this case, safety. You know that safety first is one of the first pillar that we have to fulfill, because we have many situations in which political situation which doesn't allow us to touch some destination. First of all, we look at safety in a destination. Secondly, we have to look at the nautical feasibility. So the destination, to become a real destination from a itinerary point of view, needs to have all the facility and to respect all our internal policy in order to have a safety berth of our ship. And for sure, we cannot consider to have in the same itinerary two destinations too far one to the others. The third one that is always important is accessibility, because our destination, our cruise, above all in the Mediterranean, is for mass markets guests. So each port are not only a destination, but have to be also embarkation port, because we have to fulfill the ship. And to do that, we have to guarantee the accessibility to all our sourcing market. And according to that, we have to build our itinerary. Then we have to speak about financial point of view, financial KPI. So we have to speak about ticket revenue. We have to maximize ticket revenue. This means not only to maximize the revenue, but also to maximize the number of passengers that can join the cruise, and in order to have a good experience. think to the ship empty, it's not a real good vocation. Then we have to speak about what we have to do on the ship. So we are speaking about onboard revenues that have to be maximized, but we have to build and to find the right time in which the ship is on sailing and which we can provide the right time to provide the experience that are spa, that are restaurant, that are casino, and so on and so forth. Everything that can be done only when the ship is in sailing. The second point, that is something that is more important for this kind of webinar, is the shore excursion attractiveness. So our destination have to be something very peculiar that can create a need, an appeal for our guests. We need to find something very special, and as I will see with our other guests in this webinar, for us is very important that we can have some prioritization, some uniqueness, something that our guests can do only if they come with us, with the cruise, with Costa in this destination. Then we have also to consider cost, and so port cost, and this is something that is also connected with the destination. We have to have some agreement with the port in order to have a low port cost. And the last but not least is the fuel. First of all, in terms of pollution, so the environmental impact for us is very important. You know that in next October we will have the first LNG ship completely propelled by LNG in order not to have pollution. And so for us it's very important, but also we are in the business, we have to consider also the impact on the fuel cost. So our itinerary need to have all these aspects together, and together we have to put a product that our sales teams look as something that can be sellable. So according to this is just an introduction of the way in which we work, in order to let you know what can be the leverage on the level on which we can speak with us, in order to create appealing for us and appealing for the destination. I think at the end of the day, this is a win-win situation that can help our business, but also your business. This is just an introduction in order to let both to the gentleman from destination and the gentleman that has attended the webinar what is our role and how we can be considering inside this kind of business. For sure, for each of these constraints, we have some expert that help us to make it happen. And so we are, let me say, the coordinator of this element. And one of the main elements is the excursion, so the destination, and all our experts of destination. So I think this is my presentation. I let again to speak to Lane in order to go with the other speakers. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Federico. And this is, I think this slide is so important for all of us to see, that so much goes into planning an itinerary. And I think, you know, we all really commend you for the work that you do. It will be very interesting to hear as we move forward in the webinar from, you know, not just from a destination perspective, but also from the shore excursion side, and how all of that plays into this. And again, welcome your feedback, Federico, as we move forward with those. So with that, I believe we are turning it over to, or I know we're turning it over to Sarah with Halifax.
Perfect, thanks, Lane. So my introductory slide is up there, and I'm just going to get started. So as Lane had mentioned during the introduction, my name is Sarah Rumley, and I am the brand and marketing coordinator for the Halifax Port Authority, and I work primarily on our cruise development file with Kathy McGrail, who is our Associate VP of Strategy and Innovation at the Port of Halifax. And I don't seem to have the controls for the slide. Oh, there we go, perfect, thank you. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that, everyone. I'm just trying to...
Maybe I had to use my key. Oh, there it goes. Okay.
There we go. Perfect. Yeah, I was using my keyboard. It didn't quite work anyways. So Cruise Halifax is a world-class destination. We are located, I'm just going to move into our map slide here to give everyone an idea where we're located in the world, since we have people joining us from all over. Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada is a marquee port of call on the New England itinerary. And as you'll see on our map here, we are basically located in the heart of Atlantic Canada. Cruise is a very big part of our business and is a real economic engine for our region. And that goes as far as within the New England range, and we welcome people from all over the world. And our cruise business overview, we are a host to the majority of North American lines and a variety of small European and premium, as well as niche cruise lines as well. We have 27 brands calling the Halifax this year. And our cruise season typically spans 8 months from April to November. And 70% of our visits are in September and October. So whereas we're expecting about 320,000 cruise guests this year, we will see 70% of that through September and October during our peak.
And Sarah, if you don't mind, maybe for those not familiar with the region, the 70%, why September and October?
So what's really spectacular about New England during September and October is what's called as fall foliage. So it's the changing of the leaves, which creates this very vibrant landscape that cruise guests get to enjoy all the way from where they may sail from New York or New Jersey, all the way up to Quebec and Montreal, which is along the St. Lawrence in Canada. I'll just go on to our success slide. So we're very fortunate in our region that we have a lot of really strong partnerships, and we work collectively within our region to kind of grow our cruise business and maintain what we have at the same time. We deliver iconic experience for visitors through a variety of robust shore excursion programs. And in case you're wondering what some of those iconic experiences would be, we are home to Peggy's Cove, which is a very well-known lighthouse here on the coast of Atlantic Canada. It's definitely the most photographed lighthouse in Canada, possibly North America as well. We also have the Halifax Citadel as one of our National Historic Sites. And we're very fortunate that our port is within close distance for people to experience UNESCO World Heritage Sites as well. We're closely located close to those U.S. And Canadian home ports. So as I mentioned, New York, New Jersey, Boston, as well as Quebec and Montreal here in Canada. And this provides excellent speed and distance within our geographic location. So it's a short distance between ports in the itinerary, mostly an overnight sail, or even some are just a few hours away. So it's a great option whether a cruise line wants an itinerary that's port heavy or something where they do have some time between ports. And we have strong cruise infrastructure in Halifax, so that provides our cruise guests with direct ship-to-shore access to all their amenities. That would include tours, taxi, any shoreside service such as shopping or other amenities are all located very close. As passengers disembark, they go right through our terminals and onto their tours.
Hey, Sarah, before we move on, would you mind maybe for some of the other, whether they're destinations on the webinar or our other executive partners, maybe speaking to maybe one strong partnership that you guys have had a success in, really working on to grow the Canada-New England region?
Sure thing. So one of our strong partnerships, and Lane had mentioned it during the intro that I am part of, is the Atlantic Canada Cruise Association. So that particular cruise association partners with other cruise associations within New England, including Cruise New York, Cruise Boston, Cruise St. Lawrence. So collectively we work and Cruise Maine as well. We work collectively to promote the region. So we're able to, as a destination or as an entire itinerary, I should say, work together to promote ourselves to the cruise line. So we're not independently always going just as the Port of Halifax to meet with the lines or different different partners. We do it collectively. So it's a really great approach that's worked very well for our region, that cruise lines see that we're not competing with each other as ports or destinations. We're actually working collectively to gain and grow that business of cruise. So that's something that we pride ourselves in, is our ability to work together and not necessarily to promote one over the other when it comes to our ports. We each provide value, and that's worked really well for us.
Great, thank you so much.
And some of the challenges that we face at the Port of Halifax: port congestion and transportation or shortages during our primary season, or pardon me, our peak season. So that would again be through September and October. So due to the really high demand of people wanting to go to Peggy's Cove or do other shore excursions within Atlantic Canada, where we can have up to 5 ships in Halifax, but there could be 2 in Charlottetown, 2 in St. John, New Brunswick, and more in Sydney, Nova Scotia. That provides quite a bit of demand for different equipment to transport passengers around just within our area. And a better understanding and ability to adapt to consumer needs. So something that we see in Halifax as well as in Atlantic Canada is an increase of international cruise guests coming to us, which creates a unique opportunity for us to look at where most of our programming may be in English. We now have to look at how we can provide not just collateral, but also translation services during tours for those cruise guests that may speak German or Italian or Portuguese. So it's something that, you know, it's not altogether new for us, but the volume of those international guests has been increasing drastically. So we really have to work hard with the cruise lines to come up with solutions to handle this properly.
In Federico, this might be a good opportunity for me to ask, in your time at Costa, have you partnered with a destination to meet some of these you know, translation requirements for international visitors that might be a success that you could share with Sarah?
For us at this stage, Halifax unfortunately is not in our destination because we don't have any ship deployed in that area at this moment. But for sure, we are studying the possibility to have it in the future, because we are always looking to new destination in order to increase the appealing of our cruise. For sure, as I already told in my presentation, for us it's very important to have some uniqueness in the destination, something that can increase the appealing of the cruise, and something that can be done only by our cruise guests. So for us, could be a very high opportunity if in the future we will touch this wonderful destination like Halifax, to have the possibility to have some prioritized, something that can be done only by our cruise guests. Do you think this could be possible?
Definitely. A variety of our tour products, and as well as our iconic experiences that we offer in Halifax, are completely customizable to the cruise guest and what their interest is. And as it is right now, we work with a lot of the cruise lines on developing products that would be specific to large and small groups, but also to the type of passenger that they have aboard and their unique interests, and having that unique opportunity to not do the status quo in a particular destination. So augmenting something that would be a typical tour option, but having it customized to be very special for that cruise guest or that small group.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Sarah, for this. Opportunities. You're right. One more slide.
There's just one more slide. Sorry there. So we do, as well as we have successes, challenges, we have opportunities as well. And much like Federico had mentioned, there's definitely a great opportunity where cruise guests are always looking for more than just being a tourist. They want to be a traveler. They want to have unique experiences. So we see that we in Halifax, we can leverage our destination appeal, focusing on our culture and our history and our pristine environment. These are common themes across our Canadian destinations, but as well as our New England partner ports as well. grow visitor demand during our non-peak season, which is spring and summer. So although we have always been marketed for our fall foliage and those beautiful fall colors, there's a great opportunity, as some of these images show, to experience spring and summer in Halifax, Nova Scotia, as well as the entire region. And of course, we want to continue to foster and develop those strategic partnerships through our Cruise Can New England Alliance, also working with Cruise Newfoundland and Labrador. They do a lot of circumnavigation and repositioning cruises. Cruise to St. Lawrence and St. Pierre and Miquelon. St. Pierre and Miquelon, for those that may not be familiar with it, is actually a French port of call that is located within Atlantic Canada. So it gives us a unique advantage when we're looking at some of those niche cruise lines that want to actually only have a cruise within Atlantic Canada or going into the St. Lawrence, where that can actually be their international port of call. And of course, identifying opportunities to work with cruise lines to support their marketing initiatives within our region. So we do this in a variety of ways, looking at their advertising campaigns and seeing how we can participate and augment them. But also, and of interest to CLIA as well, is we do a lot of travel agent training, whether it be in person or participating in webinars, but making sure that we appreciate and recognize the value that travel agents play in promoting and selling our destination. So making sure that they have all the tools in their toolkit that they need to promote our region to their customers. And that's a wrap. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. That was great. So I'm just going to move on to our next speaker, who is Yanez from Atlas Express. One moment. Here we go. Okay, you should have control. Take it away, Yanez.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation, Emily. Hello? Do you hear me?
Yep, you are loud and clear. Yep.
Okay, now I'm on, yes. So hello, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. Actually, we are based in Slovenia. We have only one major cruise port because in Slovenia, it's about 46 kilometers of Adriatic coast, and we are on the north part of Adriatic Sea. So we started our cruise business 14 years ago, not that long, with the first ship coming in our port. And now, 14 years later, we have around 90 calls, and we will match this year around 100,000 passengers in our port. We are leading tour agent, Shorex agent, and we started for actually for early first call in Slovenia. And as I am coming from travel business anyway, so we try to adapt our business to the cruise environment. As Slovenia is very small, let me say we are only 2 million, but Slovenia is very diverse country. So we have Adriatic coast, we have Alps, we have other regions. They are bordering to Austria and Hungary. So the Slovenia is actually very diverse country, and we are using this for our excursions, and that is very well appreciated from our guests. We try to support local community much as possible, because through our experience, the guests, they really like to enjoy the local food, the local flavors, and we put a big effort with the local community, municipality of our cities here on the coast, to put together various really authentic products. What is our struggle in in the business, it's that we try to do a lot sustainable products, and that is really a big success for the last couple of years. As you see here on the left side of my slide, actually, we do a lot private events in the small farms involving the guests with the locals, making wine, harvesting, truffle hunt, and we organize also daily catch with the local fishermen. That is really the really product that's a big future in our business. We try to listen our clients. We have mostly not really big ships coming in our port because restriction of the Venice port. It's also regarding us as well, because the port of Koper, it's only 55 miles from the Venice, and of course, if there are big ships not coming in the Venice, they are not coming either to our place. But we are very happy with the all other brands. Federico, unfortunately, Costa is not yet in Koper, but I guess it will come once. We try to make really big attention to the small groups, to the small boutique ships like Sea Dream and other small niche cruise lines. We try to make really boutique experience, like you see here. We have stud farm from Lipica that is almost 400 years, 500 years old stud farm, and there we have various of the products. We just had yesterday a big as amazing event in our port, actually in the city center of the Koper, and we are very happy that we got the biggest score last year of all these amazing evenings in the global from Azamara Cruises. And we invite in this kind of events all private producer from wine, other gastronomic specialties, and it's a huge success. We have also since last August Travel Life certification, which is sustainability in our industry, and it is really a long planning mobility project with the support of electrical vehicles that we will make in our city in the future, and we try to put some green tours as well for a sustainable part of our products. Thank you. That was for the beginning. Everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Janez. Thank you for that. So I just have a quick question for you. So you've been in the industry running shore excursions for a long time. Can you see any change in what cruise guests are wanting? Are they wanting slightly more authentic experiences? Are they wanting bigger experiences? What kind of trends are you seeing?
Yes, I see. Actually, I am pleased that we see trends for the totally local experience and a lot of tastes. The guests, they like to enjoy in the authentic food and the authentic environment, and they support sustainability in the long term. And that's satisfaction of the guest. It's a highly rated in this case.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Federico, I might ask, do you have any feedback for Atlas here?
I would like to thank for the great presentation, very interesting. As it was mentioned in this moment, Costa doesn't touch these destinations, but we have a ship in the Adriatic Sea, and it was mentioned that there is Venice restriction means also for us that it's difficult for us to have too many destinations very close to Venice. This could be a reason why we are not touching Copper and that area, because it's too close to Venice, and people that will sailing from Venice would like to see the Greece and in general farthest destination from Venice. But for sure, in the future, we could have this possibility, above all, if in Venice the restriction will be solved and the situation will be solved. Just one question. It is possible to have about Copper and other destinations some data about the tourist trend in general, not only cruise tourism, but in general all the tourism, in order to understand what is the appealing of this destination.
Yes, Federico, with the pleasure. So, the Slovenia as a small country, we will never have the mass tourism. We try to respect our nature in our environment, and we have a number of small boutique hotels, number of excellent restaurants, and we try to go in the niche market for very small groups, and with the wellness as well, with sport products. Anyway, we are interested in various range of activities in tourism, but not the mainstream.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you both. In the interest of time, we're going to move on to our final panelist, Caroline Hanberg from Arctic Adventures. So, Caroline, I will give you control and take it away.
Thank you, Emily. Hi, everyone. Let's see if this is working. There we go. Okay, so I just wanted to briefly introduce Arctic Adventure and myself, as we are very new members to CLIA. I'm Caroline Hanberg. I'm the cruise manager at Arctic Adventure, which is a shore excursion company settled in the North Atlantic. We've been there for 37 years and operating in Greenland, Iceland, and the Faroe Islands. In this presentation, I will mainly only focus on Greenland, as this is the destination where we have most of our cruise handlings. Our main office is in Copenhagen, and then we have a small branch office in London and Oslo, where I am, and in Ilulissat, Greenland, during summertime when we have our high season. Then, just to sum up what we stand for at Arctic Adventure, we value very much quality before quantity, which can be a bit difficult with bigger cruise lines, but it's very important for us as a shore excursion team that we deliver quality to all the guests joining our tours. And then it's very important for us to include the local people in Greenland, no matter where we're gonna go there. Either we take them into our excursions and do activities with the locals and the guests, or we want to, of course, tell about the local history when we visit history sites, as for example in South Greenland we visit Viking ruins and things like these. Then our core philosophy in the company is that we don't like clashes when it comes to cruise lines in Greenland. We try as good as we can to tell the cruise lines if they're gonna clash or crash with another cruise in the port of the date of arrival, because the only place in Greenland at the moment we can actually handle more than one ship in a good way is the capital of Nuuk. Then it's very important for us that the travelers are going to experience Greenland more than only viewing it. So it's important that the guests, when they leave our tours, that they have stories to tell at home more than just pictures to show. Then to work with the local communities and let them gain from the cruise visits. That's been a huge discussion in Greenland as well, which I'll get in on later on. That's very important for us, that they feel appreciated and they feel as a part of a port call if you're going into a town. Then our guides has a big role and very important for us, because the guides are Arctic Adventures, but also the cruise line's voice and face on our destinations, where we are working very closely with the locals to get all these tours running. Then in the end, I just wanted to briefly tell you our vision and mission. And the vision is, of course, to make the North Atlantic a desirable choice for your clients. And the mission to do that is to build a viable cruise industry in the Arctic through close cooperation between the vessel cruise company and the local communities. Then to tell something about our successes we had in the last 4 or 5 years is that we've been working very closely with both expedition cruises and discovery cruises, as we call, for example, MSC cruises and AIDA cruises. And because we work with both kind of cruise lines, we do many custom-made services, and it's been a huge success for us to do this, because we do it in an interaction with the cruises. What do they desire or wish to have on their excursion table when they come to Greenland? But not only do we do this with the cruise line, we also ask the local people on how they think we should do this to give the guest the best experience coming to Greenland. Then we have guide loyalty. All of our guides that we have in our team on the last 6, 7, 8 years has now expanded to maybe 60 or 70 guides. They have all been in university, and some of them are now in full-time work, but they still come back every summer to guide because they really like it up there. And Greenland is very much a small little family, and we make everything work together. Then we have had focus on environment. Of course, I think like we have that worldwide. But one example we have taken into all our excursions is that a simple thing as all the guides are having a trash bag on the tour. So even though, let's say they are on a hike with some guests, even though that the guest does not drop anything on the tour, if they see any trash on the tour, they would pick it up. And it's had a really good feedback from all the guests we have on tours, but also from the local communities. Then product development has been a very huge success in the last few years for us, because I think before we would listen more to the industry and to the cruises, like what can you sell on board and what would you like? But now we really try to include the local people even more. So sometimes actually also the local people are having a direct contact with us and the cruise lines excursion team, because we want them to give the best experience to the guest, and we want every part and everybody in the process to understand what it is we're going to promise the guests from the start. Then I'll move on to some of the challenges we still have in Greenland. Overall, we have a very low capacity still on all the destinations. And I think you have experienced that in other ports as well. But in Greenland right now, there is a lot of focus on the Arctic, and we've been at sea trade, and there's a lot of people talking about going to the Arctic. The problem is just that the capacity doesn't get any bigger up there. Then we have weather and ice conditions. Weather challenges we have all over the world. We can't really do much about that, but something we can do something about in the Arctic is ice condition. So especially if you're going to South Greenland, or if you're going to the West-North Greenland, it's very, it can be a huge challenge to get into some of the ports because of ice situations. And how we solve that, I will come on to in the next slide. Then a huge challenge has also been for cruise lines to match the size of their vessel to the port they want to visit, because the biggest city in Greenland is the capital, Nuuk, but only like approximately 17,000 people are living there. So just imagine when you go to a small town down south and you have 2,500 people living there, and a cruise vessel with 2,000 passengers are going in. It can be a huge challenge. And we see now with all the focus that is on the Arctic, that actually bigger cruise lines with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 people on board are looking to visit small settlements where only 50 people lives. And that's a huge challenge for us now to make this picture as realistic as we can, that yeah, you have to look at the size. It does matter when you visit small places and you still want excursions. And then the last thing of challenge we have on this presentation is culture and languages barriers. In Greenland, we still have a huge challenge on the language, because Greenlandic people speak mainly Greenlandic and then Danish. More of them are doing better in English now. But one of the challenges we have when we sell shore excursions is that, of course, the cruise company, they want the guide to speak good English. And to live up to that, we have had to take a lot of guides in from Denmark and all around the world, and using Greenlandic people, local people, in other kinds of ways. So there will always be a guide that can translate on the tours. And then with the culture barrier is that even though Nuuk as a capital is a modern place to come now, and you can have different views and things, then the rest of Greenland can still in some ways be very black and white, and they are like a hunting culture still, even though it's growing up there. So that has been a challenge as well for us. And then just shortly to tell about how we overcome some of these challenges is that we try to lead examples up there, and we try to be creative, both with the cruise lines, but also with the local people. We want them to participate, and we want Greenland and the tourism up there to develop together with the interest of cruises going there. And then it's very important for us to have a plan B and a plan C, and that's something we kind of always had, you know, in the back of our head when we do excursions. But up to this day now, we always have a plan B. So if a cruise is going into, let's say, Ilulissat, then if you cannot get into due to ice conditions, we now have a plan B all the way in details, like what do we do if you cannot get in. And then one more thing we took in is to prepare the cruise guest for changes. We see that the cruise lines coming in that does not have local people on board, or some of our guides that have been many times in Greenland to tell about the culture and the possible weather changes, they are more, what do you say, like angry or disappointed if the setup is not working as it should have done because of weather changes or something like that. But where on the cruises we have had guides on board to tell about these, to prepare the guest, there has still been smiles, you know, on the piers with people that are so excited, and they understand it because they got an introduction to the culture changes and or differences and weather changes. And then one challenge we still have is that the vessel size going to Greenland is still an issue. And right now, at this moment, we just have to accept our port limitations, and we just have to do our best to do as many tours as we can, but still at the quality that we want to deliver and that we know will make the guest most happy about the tour. I think that's what I had, but if you have any questions for me, you let me know.
Thank you very much, Caroline. That was really interesting. So you, obviously a lot of your successes have come from working with the local community, which is great. Do you think that working with the local community is just as important for larger destinations and in the cruise industry as well?
I think, yeah, in some way it is, of course. But let's just take, like, if you go to Copenhagen with a bigger cruise, you have so many people to help you out to do shore excursions. It's easy to find people to work there, whereas Greenland is very what do you say? It's very remote place, and people going to Greenland I think have other expectations about the tours than if they have a tour in Copenhagen sometimes, because it's a culture, it's a place they've never seen before, and they're very much interested in who is a Greenlandic person, for example, and what is their culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Federico, I know that Costa doesn't call on Greenland, but is there, what feedback would you give, or what would you be interested to see from this unique destination?
Caroline, first of all, thank you for the very good, very impressive presentation. I would like to ask something, because for us, this destination is what we can say. We are always say that we are dreamer, sales dreamers. We are selling dreams, and this is just the destination that can let our guests dream. But according to your presentation, at this stage we have you have some limitation for the ship and for the guides and so on and so forth. This for us is something that is blocking. But my question is, how do you manage to host AIDA and MSC ship?
So what we do is that it's very important for us, when you have a cruise line coming in this size, that you have a lot of time there, just to do enough excursions for each person on board. But what we also do in Greenland when we have cruises this size is actually to communicate again with the local people and just spread the word and be like, who wants to participate? What can we do for these cruise lines? So, and they put so many things on the table because they really want to be a part of it. It's just very difficult for them sometimes to find the way to participate. So we just put it out and we brainstorm with the locals, and then we do, for example, with MSC cruises, we also do a lot of performances. So we do tours where you don't actually need a guide, but where you can participate on, for example, like a culture show, or you take local people on board to do kind of cultural things.
No, yes, but my question is more related to infrastructure, because if I have well understood from your presentation, there are some limits for the kind of ship that Greenland can host. And this could be a big limit for us, because we are building a bigger and bigger ship, and we have also a smaller ship, but you consider that for us, when we design a deployment, not only an itinerary, we decide to deploy a ship in a region for a certain period. So we need to have a number of cruises, or in the case of Greenland, could be part of our repositioning from Europe to United States. And consider that we will have the ship in the United States, we cannot have so small ship. So for us, it's mandatory that if in the future this could happen, and we could have the infrastructure available for our ship. This is the question. How do you have plan for this, or you don't know if there is some plan in order to have some port available to reach to host our ship?
Yeah, so you have a port in South Greenland that is very good for that. You have Nanortalik, which is the most southern part, a town, and then you have Qaqortoq. So the thing about the infrastructure is that, no, there will not be enough buses or taxis or anything like this to transport the guests. But that's the good thing about those towns, because they're not very big. so you don't have to walk more than 7 kilometers to see the whole town. But what we mainly do is that everything in Greenland, when you go to a town, is very much settled down at the harbor. So we start a lot of tours down there, just hiking tours or open town tours, and then we do these cultural things or the tours close to the ships if we can do transfers.
Okay, thank you very much. Very, very clear. This could be for the future an opportunity we have to develop and to analyze, and maybe you have to meet in order to go deep dive on this possibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Oh.
No,
thank you. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Federico. I have one question for the group. If I could just ask if anyone, feel free to speak up. If you could give one piece of advice to a destination, what would it be?
Sure, this is Sarah from Halifax. I think the best piece of advice I could give on behalf of our region is really to look for, to seek out, and to foster those partnerships. As I had mentioned during my presentation, that was really key in developing our destination and making it very marketable for the cruise line. So that would be my one piece of advice for those destinations.
Thank you, Sarah. Anybody else?
Maybe Federico, what would you give as a piece of advice to a destination from the cruise line perspective?
Again, the point is that I don't want to repeat the concept, but for us is mandatory to have the right mix of uniqueness of a destination, of appealing attractiveness, but always with the infrastructure, with all the things that make our guests safe and secure, with the possibility that they can have the tour that they want, that they need, and the possibility to enjoy something very, very special. This, I think, is the track that we are looking for. And again, we are sailors of a dream, and so if you are able to make our guests dream, it's the secret of the success of a destination.
Thank you so very much. As we are out of time, I want to just kind of wrap this up for everyone and appreciate again not only our panelists taking the time to answer the questions and to show us a bit of their destinations and their business. Really appreciate everyone who was on the webinar today participating. We look forward to future webinars as we have them coming up throughout the rest of the year. We also look forward to, as I said at the beginning, receiving any of your feedback for this webinar as we look to shape webinars moving forward. Emily will be sending out a survey after this webinar wraps up. So again, appreciate everyone, really applaud our panelists for participating today. Thank you very much for your wonderful, wonderful presentations. And we look forward to seeing you all very soon or hearing from you even sooner. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we will wrap it up and sign it off with that.
Thank you to everybody, and thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure to participate at this webinar. See you in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.